Welcome to my very first reaction video. Never done this before, but I really like watching Star Citizen content. So maybe somebody out there will care what I think. We're going to watch Inside Star Citizen. And this is from January 26, 2023.
It's a new year, and like every new year before it, here at CIG, January is a time of planning, of summits, of getting together and looking back at how the plans and activities of last year went to revise and inform the direction and processes of the one ahead. And to do so, all while still working diligently on Alpha 3.18, Star Citizen's biggest patch since 2017. One that will serve as future foundation for the persistent universe's development going forward. And to say it's a busy time in the studios at this moment would be an understatement. But it's also an opportunity for ISC to stretch its legs a bit like we always do. Maybe try a few new things here and there to take advantage of the first real big series of internal gatherings we've been able to have since the pandemic began, and continue to look at as many aspects.
So I'm pretty excited about the internal gatherings. Like personally, I hate working at work and I would much rather work at home. But I think as like a collaborative thing, it's for sure better for them to all be in the same building. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the production quality on this Inside Star Citizen actually seems a little bit higher. I think that it's going to look a lot more like a real TV show going forward.
Aspects of video game development as we can, while always doing our best to not get in the way of that very same development. And I'm sure the editors will tell me that was my longest single run-on sentence in ISC history.
Whoa, he gets editors?
This quarter,
that's not fair.
We can look forward to seeing a few teams that we haven't seen in a while, meet some that are newly formed for the needs of this new year, continue to look farther forward than usual with our Journey to 4.0 specials, and of course, continue to look at work currently in progress for the next quarterly release, which is where we're going to start this week. And while Alpha 3.18 is still working its way through PTU, let's jump ahead to a little of what's on its way for Alpha 3.19 after.
So I'm pretty excited that they're starting to talk about 3.19 because I think that that means that they're feeling more confident with 3.18 in the way it's coming. Because it feels like forever we've heard nothing but 3.18, 3.18, 3.18, and then just having to wait was just agony.
After that, where during a recent environment team summit here in the UK, we asked visiting members from our Montreal studio to discuss the next evolution of crashed derelicts making their way into the persistent universe, including new variations to existing favorites in multiple stages of decay, and the addition of modular habitation units that will soon allow for the continued creation of new mission locations from the tiniest of barracks to the most impressive of shantytowns.
When am I going to get to build my own dang base? Man, I'm so excited for that. Sometimes I forget how beautiful this game really is.
Derelicts are important because it's adding content, enriching the experience for the player. It's like telling a story as well as the actual piece of a derelict that's there.
The derelicts who are in the game right now are super nice. I'm super happy about them. We have really nice shapes. We can really feel the scale. When we walk, we can see how big they are.
They're impressive from a distance. The rustic feel, the abandonedness, these big, enormous, impressive shapes and silhouettes that you get to explore.
Having all the vegetation growing.
The Reclaimer Derelict is by far my favorite, and it's the only one where I've successfully seen reinforcements come in. As far as populating the universe, I don't know, for me, none of the stuff I do is centered around what's going on the planets. I run bunker missions because I need money, but for me, the most engaging stuff is the stuff the players we create ourselves. I wonder, when they get a story behind all this stuff, if there'll actually be a reason to visit because you want to progress and you actually want to continue learning about a certain story.
Up on them, bring really a second life, and it's super interesting to see that bring kind of adventure side of all those things, a mysterious side.
Indiana Jones kind of style, this exploring, discovering, There's a variety for players to experience, to go back, revisit, and enjoy the derelict.
This is the first time I'm watching.
I think we can improve the speed to create those, because they are really big location. We need to have a lot of artists working on those, because it's really a huge amount of work to work on those one, and we want to create 100 of them everywhere on different planets and moons.
Adding more of the because we have OCs, so dressing them up immediately instead of hand placing all the rocks, the foliage.
They want 100 of these on every planet and moon. And then we're going to have 100 star systems too. They've got to figure out a way to just procedurally generate these things, right? Because I just don't see the Montreal team doing all that work and doing it in a timely manner anyway.
And all the visual elements separately by hand. We should make actually nicer modules that are already pre-assembled, and most of the stuff is already contained in it. So that way we can deploy it, spend a bit more time on detailing, just an extra pass, an extra level of depth to the art.
Poor fella.
What I like the most on the new ship we create a deeper story about those crash sites. With the Star Runner crashing on the planet and having the 600i just crashing on the mountain just by, we can just think about maybe they got a fight on the sky and they get hit and the boat get crashed just by themselves.
The way it looks, it's
really set out to
years old.
Add different variations of age to our ships.
Yeah.
So we have the freshly crashed ships, the older ones that the planet overgrown over, and we have the very derelicts as just a skeleton of the ship that's remaining. Really just the frame of the actual ship that's just abandoned and
somebody vultured the
rusted
crap
out.
Of that.
The first ages of the derelict crash site is the fire one. That's it's when the ship just crashed, it's still on fire. We still have power in it, we still have sparks. The second age is crash. So that's the ship is crashed there, but maybe.
I wonder how the ships, when they first crash, will look when there's no atmosphere. If there's no oxygen, is it possible for the fires to keep burning? I don't know. Will they take that into account?
Just a week after that. So no fire, no smoke anymore, no power inside the ship, no sparks. The third age is the biome. It's overgrown. It's when the biome just take its place back. We're going to have more sand on it. We have more dirt. We have grass. Going to have leaves and vine growing up on it.
The fourth version is the paint's been worn off. It's been in the sun for an extended period of time. It's scratched up. It's a lot of rust that's been overgrown. It's been scavenged. People have visited the ship, and it's missing pieces, panels. So a lot of wires are hanging. It's been used. It's been harvested, basically.
Still got power.
And I'm really excited about the derelict habs that we'll be adding to them. We're looking at a library of habs to create these little settlements.
We create those library because we want to reuse all those habs on different ship and create the different stories and depth about
I wonder if we'll be able to bond
why that ship is there and who is going to live around.
Or the A1 when it comes out.
We have interiors. We have some that is just for sheltering from the sun, from the harsh conditions of the planet. We have some that's just for for sleeping. Ooh, there's some that have little bars, little setups inside. People can eat, can meet up. Some other ones are just for electricity generation. We have solar panels on some of them.
A good dance party.
When people find those ships, they kind of salvage them, so they took part and kind of create some kind of habitation because they want to live around those crash sites to be able to protect themselves for the weather.
These little mini camps, basically, that people can go and explore. These can be added to the new derelicts, but also to the old ones as well. We made them pretty flexible in terms of look, because we can change up the wear and tear on these things, so we can add different ages to them. We can make them look extra rusty, or we can look pretty much brand new, they just scavenged the ship and made these little huts out of the panels and stuff.
It would be super cool if that was tied to a timer. So when the server is brand new and fresh, the stuff looks I mean, it's beat down obviously, but as the time goes on and the server progresses and matures, they got worse and worse. That'd be pretty cool.
The purpose is to have a multi-use, multi-ages, different environments that they can suit into either snow, sand environments, different weather into the jungle. Like, it's a multi-purpose Habs library that, yeah, it's just increase our speed and everything.
So the idea was to finish our library in the last years. So now with the next mandate, with the next delivery crash, we'll be able to create all those shantytown everywhere on different planets. So that will bring more gameplay and more opportunity to the player to just go around and visit them.
And if there's one constant in game development, that's change. Or in this case, the continuing iteration by a dedicated team to populate the planets and moons of Stanton and Pyro with not only the derelicts and shantytowns that we saw, but our landing zones like Lorville. Now, we first spoke of the...
I wonder, like, I think they should add anti-aircraft weaponry at those stations. So, like, if you and your team are holding it down, you've got access to some turrets and stuff so that you can fight them off. I really love all the ground-focused stuff. It's the coolest thing about Star Citizen is being able to fly straight from space right to a planet, and like by far that's the most amazing part. So if we could like have a natural gameplay where people come in and they don't know you're holding down this fort, and that way you don't have to take all your anti-aircraft vehicles with you, because it's kind of a pain to get all that stuff loaded and moved. But if they had rocket turrets and, you know, lasers, and that would be dope.
Upcoming changes to Lorville in a Journey to 4.0 segment at CitizenCon 2952. But while we had the folks in town, we thought it'd be worth checking in on the team's progress while they were here. Progress that's, quite frankly, going so well, we're starting to think this new version of our oldest landing zone might just arrive a little sooner than expected.
No, don't say that, Jared.
Since the last time we talked about Lorville 2.0, a lot of things have changed. It has evolved. The key element that changed is the detail level of all the elements, so cool. And I explicitly like to mention the buildings.
Wait, did they move
so
the
there's details that really enhances the building believability. All the industrial outskirts really give the impression of a scale of the city. It will be iconic.
Like if you fly through those clouds, your windshield gets dusty and gross. That'd be cool.
Our materials are much more closer to a final look. We were going to a path of adding more tints and variety in color to the buildings and the surrounding structures, as well adding a lot of emissives throughout the city, and that gives like a good impression of the day and the night cycle.
No, seriously, like didn't the spaceport used to be
the branding
right there?
is very Hurston family centric.
I wonder where it went.
Like they're very brutalist in a way, and yeah, it will be iconic. The process of going from first pass into final, sometimes we have to break a bit of stuff because as we're finding out the correct scale of the buildings, validate how it looks and how it works together, and realize certain things need to be aligned differently. We have to go into and remove some buildings or rearrange some neighborhoods to make them fit together in a more cohesive way. There's things beyond like the new buildings. There's new pathways, there's the trenches, there's some tunnels as well, going into like those pyramid shapes that comes from Eric's concept, and we've added tunnels to those. There's cranes, and they create an opportunity to fly under them, flowing from the outside of the city to the inside, and pipelines, and there's a way of finding your way into Lorville with all these things that we've added, and it has like a really fun structure, easy ways to find where you're at. We're adding more landing pads, especially on the building rooftops. They create opportunities for gameplay, for pickup missions, and for the future of building interiors as well, or just simple mission.
Wait, so are they talking about making the city more more explorable? Because that would be freaking awesome. Like, It's already amazing to me how much you have access to in Star Citizen, but if they made it to where you could get into a bunch of the buildings and actually like identify Easter eggs and stuff, that'd be really cool.
Types of stuff to do on the rooftops. The city is quite expanded, so it's extending much further in terms of like the industrial areas that we're adding to the outreach of the city, the outskirts. They feel like they have a purpose. They have like quarries, they have like the pipelines, they have like industry or manufacturing. The lead up to the city, it feels functional. There's like smokestacks, activity going on with cranes, and it makes like a fun layout. We've experimented with moving L19 or the CBD or the spaceport in relationship to each other. In the end, we barely moved them. We've only moved like the spaceport slightly, like a few hundred meters. That's not a lot in the whole scale of the city.
Not so.
What you'll see from the vistas from those places is going to be really a big positive change, I think. And it's still something we're tweaking and working on because we really want to make those work like key shots, basically, for those vistas. Travel through the city is not changing other than the fact that the transit to the gates will be a bit extended, but the view from the transit will be a lot different in a good way, less repeated. You feel more like you're in a real city, and we'll take like a special care along like the path of the train. The key to change.
Lorville's not, the transit system's not a loop now, right? Tell me in the comments. I'm pretty sure that you have to go multiple directions and then they get dead-ended. It'd be cool if they could fix that and make it a loop, because sometimes it's nice just to ride on the train and just watch the city go by.
Changing Lorville is the opportunity to have like a whole city built to scale, so that we can fly in and there's no zones that are blocked to the player. Different viewpoints throughout the city where we can land, and it's preparing also the ground for the future updates like the building interiors, because the original buildings in Lorville were much too small to have buildings and building interiors in the future. And you're gonna hear more about the building interiors in a few weeks.
Ooh, okay. Exciting. Must be doing the inside.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the crash derelict system is continuing to evolve as more and more locations are added to the standard system in the upcoming Alpha 3.19. That progress on the new Lorville isn't just looking great and coming along fast, it's also in preparation for its own next evolution that includes building interiors, which, as Maxime said, we'll be discussing in just a couple weeks. And overall, this week is a reminder that iteration is at the heart of any game's development, and that while the new and shiny will always get the most attention, it's just as important to continue maturing what's come before to ensure the better after. And as for the right now and Alpha 3.18, well, that's still going through its paces on our public test universe. But you should keep an eye on the robertspaceindustries.com website and socials for when this huge mammer jammer of a patch takes its next big step. And while we're all waiting, stop leaving all those crashed spaceships littered around all the new racetracks. We didn't add persistence just to let you all make messes. Well, some of us might have. Benoit definitely did.
Yo, for real. After Xenothreat, there are so many spaceships. Like, at first you're good, and then you have to start watching out, and then the crash spaceships become as bad as all the asteroids around. It's pretty intense. And it makes me wonder, like, how is that going to work exactly? They're going to have to like start that where it starts here and then like moves.
Now, don't forget that Lunar New Year is also going on right now on the live servers with contests, paints, envelopes, and roosters galore. So be sure you check that out. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you all here next week.
That was pretty good. I haven't been this excited for Star Citizen in quite a while, actually. I've been feeling the patch fatigue pretty hard, and then every time I try to get back in, it kind of kicks me in the face. this made me excited, and Jared definitely looked like he was genuinely excited, but it makes me nervous when he tells me things might come faster than before. All right, we'll see, bud. Anyway, I hope you really enjoyed this. I enjoyed it, and if you hit like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Thanks.